We have Steve Forbes, founder and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media, and we have Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump and Fox News contributor. Welcome to both of you. Kellyanne, you can look at it 4 years. You can look at it. I like to look at it over the terms of both presidencies. People have a better sense of that. But you've done a lot of great polling on this, consumer attitudes, business attitudes, and so forth. I just named a few indicators. Help me out on this. What are you looking at regarding the election?
Those indicators are important because they are felt by the average consumer. Larry, people say that everyday life is increasingly unaffordable, and they lay it at the feet of Joe Biden and his policies. Not his lack of acuity, agility, and ability and energy, his actual policies. They can report back to you that prices have risen. Now, what started out with a conversation about gas and groceries 3 years ago really has evolved into a fuller conversation about the following facts. Mortgage rates have tripled under Joe Biden. Mortgage payments have doubled over Joe Biden. Rent has gone up roughly 20%. Car insurance up 46%. Home insurance up 38%. When you start to add up all these little monthly and quarterly and annual bills, they're eating away at whatever wage growth that you've been able to realize. So people feel that they're underwater economically, and they have a nexus. They connect it right back to Joe Biden. Early on, he blamed Putin. He blamed COVID. He blamed the supply chain shocks on everyone else. The problem for Joe Biden is when they think of him, they think inflation. And when they think of Donald Trump, they think of prosperity. There's no question record unemployment rates among African Americans, Hispanics, young people, veterans, record wage growth. There was a time in 2019, pre-COVID, Larry, you'll recall, because you were the head of the NEC at the White House. We had the highest wage growth per household that we had ever realized in some time. And why is that? Because your wages went up, but the prices did not go up. So people know that it's simple math. And I hope that President Trump will just take an opportunity to just calmly relate the record, give people that binary choice. Here's the last point. Bidenomics, as we have tested it, comes down to too many people as excessive government spending. You're spending money we don't have on things we don't need. And I think if they can plug Joe Biden into one of his EV chargers at the debate, and Trump can just sail forward and talk about his tax cuts, his energy independence, his deregulation, he's going to do exactly for the next 4 years what he did in the previous 4. That's a winning argument. It's why he's ahead 20 points on this issue nationwide, but also, Larry and Steve, in all those swing states. I love that. Could you imagine having an EV charger right by the debate thing? Just funny, but this is a good point that Kellyanne made.
But you can't find them since they can't make them.
Apparently, there's only a couple that have done. They've spent billions.
7 or 8, they appropriated $70 billion.
That's just
government efficiency. All
right, so Steve Forbes, a man of enormous wisdom, and a Reagan alumni, I might add. What are we missing in this discussion? And if you were advising Mr. Trump, what would you say to him?
In addition to saying they're trying to take your car, they're going to wreck your air conditioner by not allowing you to have refrigerants and things like that anymore. Talk about tax cuts.
Yes.
Talk about what's he going to do about the employment taxes and things like that. Give people something to look forward to, like Ronald Reagan did in 1980.
Reagan ran, now this is a great point. Reagan ran a tax cut, pro-growth, I'll call it, prosperity-oriented. We were having this terrible inflation under Carter. The economy was sinking. Unemployment was very high, hence the term stagflation. Reagan comes along with this optimistic message. Essentially, I can make this better. I can give you the prosperity you don't have right now. I'm going to curb inflation, and I'm going to cut your taxes. How important do you think today the tax-cutting argument is?
Oh, I don't think anybody believes they're undertaxed. And the idea of being able to keep more of what they earn and the opportunity to earn more will be a compelling argument. And in terms of Biden, all he can do is snarl. He's a threat to democracy. No sunshine there, all dark clouds above his head.
You know, Kellyanne, Steve's making an important point, don't you think? I mean, you have to impart a positive, optimistic, future prosperity image in that debate. You know, you got to be, I don't want to say it's good versus evil, because people use that all wrong, and I don't want to make this personal, but I'm just saying you have to have a vision of optimism and better. We're going to make it better. Don't you think that's a key point?
Yes, and we both know that President Trump can pull that off. All three of us know that. Look, we gravitate toward people who are more positive and optimistic. We already know what the problems are, gentlemen. People are starving for solutions, and they're starving for specifics. We have the same issue set now, economically, border, and the like, that we had in 2022. And many Republicans did not win because they didn't finish their sentences. They didn't offer solutions. They just kept repeating the problem. Lead with the solution, President Trump. And one more thing. Larry, Steve, I want to see President Trump get back to what he was doing in the White House and promise it again. Manufacturing, mining, construction, the private trades. Why are we pushing everybody into college, a 4-year college degree and all that debt when you can go be a welder with a skills certificate and a high school diploma tomorrow, an electrician, a plumber, all these great bedrock parts of our economy that have made this country so great and will continue to. Trump's the right messenger on that message, and I hope he will make that an affirmative part of a positive economic agenda.
You know, Steve, just to spoil this, also, I think Trump should say to Biden, stop running around the country telling people you inherited a 9% inflation rate. You inherited a 1.4% inflation rate. Those are facts. And you're the one that drove it up to 9% and essentially 20% for the life of the term. I mean, I think he has to say to Biden, stop lying about our record. And the other point I want to throw in, Biden's going to be gloom and doom. I'm going to raise, he's going to say the tax cuts only went to rich people. And I think people know that wasn't the case, that wage earners were the huge beneficiaries. I mean, you got to press that. Biden will have this gloomy, I'm going to raise your taxes, I'm not going to extend the Trump tax cuts, and people should go, huh, really? Scratch your head? We did very well under the Trump tax cuts.
Well, all he has to do is say, what's your deduction now, standard deduction now under Donald Trump?
Oh,
what it'll be under Joe Biden.
That is right. That's a great point. That's exact. It was doubled under Trump.
Yes.
If you repeal that, you're back to $1,000 from two.
Yes.
Great point.
And also, we're going to treat the dollar with respect rather than a toy for the Washington politicians.
Ooh, I like that. Treat sound money. Because remember, those dollars is the same dollars in your pocketbook. And if you shrink those dollars globally and internationally, you're shrinking the pocketbook. That's another great point. Kellyanne, I'm going to give you the last word. I always give you the last word. For 40 years, I've given you the last word.
Well,
Why should I stop now? But, you
Well,
know, Forbes, Forbes makes an interesting point. The dollar. All right, on international exchanges, that's very highfalutin. But that's the same dollar. If you damage that dollar on the international markets, you're going to damage the dollar in your pocketbook and in your wallet. That could be translated to the kitchen table. Last word, Kellyanne.
It does, because a majority of American households are in the investor class in some shape or form.
Yes.
They're paying attention to the dollar.
Yes.
Let me say one more thing. It's very hard to take something away from someone that they already have more than not give it to them in the first place. Trump's got to make that case. If you don't extend my tax cuts, and a guy named Biden's not going to do it. If you don't extend my tax cuts, we're going backwards. We've all gotten comfortable because that sucker passed in December of 2017. So we've all gotten comfortable living with these Trump tax cuts. If they sunset, if they go away, he should do the math for the people and tell them, if you make this much, if you have these many kids, this home mortgage, etc. Here's what's going to happen to you in real numbers. People respond to real numbers.
Oh, I like that.
I think the winner of the debate and the winner of the election will be the candidate who respects the intelligence of the people more. Give them specifics and solutions. We can take it. We're smart. I'm so sick of the media referring to low information voters. We are high energy, high information in this election. People are paying attention.
Yes, ma'am. You're on target. Kellyanne Conway, Steve Forbes. The dollar. No, you're right. You've been right about this for 4 or 5 decades. You're both terrific.
So have you.
I follow along. I do whatever Kellyanne tells me to do. You know that. Makes life much easier. Kellyanne, thank you, my love. Appreciate it. Steve Forbes, as always, sir. Thank you very much.